on, troops, welcome back to the Litanah Army. I'm Lit, and this is Fortnite Save the World. And what we're looking at today is the difference between 106s and level 130s. Is it worth it to actually upgrade your weapon to a level 130? Now, I know this is something that Demon Joe's touched on quite a few times. Sometimes he said, the first time around, he said it's not worth leveling your weapons up past 106. And the second video that I watched yesterday saying he was, that you should level your weapons up to a level 130. Now, the thing is, there's pros and cons to both, and as he did, I'm actually going to go over both sections of these. So let's start with the pros that are on these. So first of all, should you level your weapons up to a level 130 from a 106, or is a 106 okay? So first off then, the cons. So these weapons are, don't get me wrong, these are overkill. These are only going to be needed if the difficulty is increased in high-end twine. Maybe you're doing a top-end twine level. Maybe you're doing an event, for example. There's limited time when these weapons are going to be used, don't get me wrong. So you're not always going to need a level 130. In fact, most of the time, if you're in, even a normal PL 100 mission, and you shoot something with a 106, you're going to find it very much the same, or it's even going to feel very much the same as firing a 130. You're not going to tell much of a difference. So, that's one questionable thing about that. But then on that, so that means the resources are hard to grind for. Well, do you know what? Not really. What you tend to find is the resources scale up anyway. As long as you do your farming in twine, then you're going to be getting plenty of, efficient mechanical parts to actually make your weapons anyway. At the time of actually making this, what I've actually got is, I think I've got 600, maybe 800, so 3-4 stacks of efficient mechanical parts, and that's when I've been farming for other things. So maybe I've been farming for nuts and bolts, maybe I've been farming for, it could just be general materials, so like stone, metal, wood. But because I've been farming and because I'm farming in those areas, what you tend to find is you'll just get the efficient anyway. It actually comes pretty quick. Now, if you needed to specifically farm for efficient mechanical parts, it probably takes, with a good Outlander, about 10 minutes. I can't see it ever taking longer than that. You can actually go into a city map or industrial map and get the mats for that gun in about 10 minutes. Now, most of the time, if I'm in a mission, if I'm just doing normal missions, what you'll find is I will only use one, maybe two guns. I'll only have to craft 1 or 2 guns each time that I play. So taking, 10 minutes out to actually get the efficient parts for it is nothing at all. Now, the other parts that it needs, so things like, your shadow shard and things like that, you're going to get tons of that if you're just progressively playing the game ever. I think it's very rare, I'm not saying never happens, but it's very rare that a twine player will run out of shadow shard, for example. Now, someone in the comments the other day on one of my 130 videos actually said that, 130 reviews are inaccurate, and this isn't actually true. All you're doing is seeing the weapon at the absolute best that it can be. Now, you think about this. I was looking at Audis the other day, which is a make of car. So what happened was the Audi A3 is one of the most popular versions of that car. So I was looking at Audi's models and I was looking at all the different things that they've got, and the Audi A3 is one of the most popular, one of the top selling models that they do. However, on the actual TV ad that I was looking at, because I was looking online at things, but on the actual TV ad that they ran, there was an Audi R8, which is the sports version of that car, and then on top of that as well, there was an Audi A4 S-Line, which is the top model in that series. Now, the reason that they're doing that is they've only got a limited window to actually show me the very best of what that car can be or what that car can do. And it's the very same with the 130 reviews on YouTube. What you will find is that there's only a limited window that a YouTuber or a content creator can actually show you as to what that weapon can do. And think about this, we've only got about 10-15 minutes to actually show you this weapon and what it can become. Showing you a 106 review is okay, but then you're not seeing the weapon actually top end. I mean, you could argue that if you're not using it in the top area, so if you're not using it in a 4-player 100 mission with the difficulty increased, then you're not showing us properly, which I completely understand. But the pros to having a level 130 weapon are, it's the strongest the weapon can be. So this is the most powerful that you can actually get the weapon. This will actually show you what you're working towards. So it's okay, if you're in Plankerton and you've only got a lower level version of this weapon, but seeing the review at level 130 actually shows you what the weapon can become, and do you want to level it up? There's plenty of weapons in this game that actually scale off the further you go up. One that I remember fondly, if you like, is the Founder's Raptor. I love the Founder's Raptor in Stonewood and in Plankerton, but the effectiveness of the Founder's Raptor started to flail off when I got into Lake Canny Valley, and certainly when I got into Twine. And although it's still a decent weapon, there's many more weapons out there that can actually outperform it. And do you know what? If there had been a 130 review out of that at that time, I would have known that. The good thing as well about the 130s is that it's useful in all scenarios, so it can be scaled down easily. So if you want to just build a 106, because today, for example, you may be helping a friend out in Lake Canny Valley, or you may be just doing some 4-player missions. You only need some 4-player missions, but in a lower area, you only need a 106. Well, that's fine, because you can always scale down now with the new system. So it just means that you're really well prepared and you've actually got both versions of the weapon. So if you want to take your Silent Spectre into a tougher mission, maybe it could be an event like Frostnight, you've got it there ready on hand. If you want to take your weapon as a 106 into a lower area because you're going to help someone do a Ride the Lightning mission, then again, you've got it on hand. Having that 130 just means that you're more prepared and that you've got all the weapons that you need, rather than having to just quickly sync mats, or worse, not being able to get the gun because you're not ready for it. And as well, the 130 is a bit like it's a little bit of a flex. We all wanted the Frostnight banner so that we could flex a little bit and we could show people, how we've done the toughest mode that the game's ever brought forward. And it's the same with the 130 weapon. You've actually put everything you possibly can into that weapon, and you've focused on a weapon and you've got it up to max. So you deserve to flex a little bit on that. Now, with all that said, you've got to remember there's a very big difference between Twitch streamers and YouTube creation, your content creation. So the two are very different. Now, you've got to remember, if you're watching someone on a stream and they're just farming for mats, and they're having to stop what they're actually doing every few hours because they've actually got to come offline, they've actually got to come out of the game and they've got to go and farm materials, then yeah, I understand that. Then having 106s would make a lot more sense, especially if it's going to get the job done. But streamers do review guns differently. With the streamer, you'll actually have a progressive and a live test of the gun, whereas YouTubers, we're more like the TV commercials. It's very short, it's a very small window that you're actually going to get, and you know what, people who are watching these videos are on the fly. You may be in a break, for example, at university, at school, or wherever you may be, at work, or you may be at home, one evening, and you don't want to sit and watch, a stream for a long amount of time, then you would go to the YouTuber. But if you're not seeing the weapon at its peak performance, then we as creators are probably selling you short. Now, if you do want to see the weapon gameplay and you want to really study it, you want to look at the numbers, then I would recommend, and then you go to a stream, someone like Sly Gumby, for example, someone like Cylon, Allura SC, and you go and watch those. But it's very subjective to the person, so what type of weapon you want is completely down to you. But I would say I wouldn't say just build up a ton of 130s. Personally, I just think build up your favourite weapons up to 130, and then, the rest take up to 106. I'm not averse to doing a 106 review, absolutely. If I think that the weapon's not going to be a super popular weapon, then I will show the Audi A4 version from the advert. However, if I do want to see, if I think the weapons are going to be good and I think the weapons are going to be popular, then yeah, I want to rock a 130 out there. Getting the perks on it can be tough sometimes, but you want a 130, if you want a maxed out 130 bundle bus, then, and you can do it as long as you've got the stuff to do it, then I would say go for it. I mean, wait until you get to Twine, but do you know what? Even if it's something that you want and you've got access to, even if you've got friends that'll do it for you, that'll get you the mats for it, then just go for it. If you look at the video in the background here, it's not actually a mistake that we've used this. This is actually me just farming efficient mechanical parts. I'm not even farming them all that well. As I said, I was doing something else at the time, so I'm just bobbing around, from place to place, and I actually got 30 efficient mechanical parts in this video in about 10 minutes. So that's it. The time that you've been watching this, if you've got this far into the video, is the time it takes to make one gun. And you're going to get hours out of that gun. You're going to get plenty of time out of that gun. Even if you're using it a lot, you're going to get a lot of time. And so if you're someone who's going to play that kind of intensity, that kind of level, 10 minutes is nothing. If you want to do half an hour, you're going to have enough to make 3 guns with the efficient mechanical parts. All the other parts, to be fair, all the other bits of the gun, you're going to get progressively through playing anyway. Because the time that you're going to put into those things, balanced against how often the gun's going to go out, is kind of relative. It kind of works. That part of the game is actually really well balanced. I've never got into a game and not had the gun that I've needed, not for a long time, just because I've always had access to them. But guys, let me know what you think down below. There's no right or wrong to this. I do think that both sides are actually right. I think the streamers are actually 100% correct. Is you don't need a 106 weapon, but then the YouTubers like myself, A1 Get This Money, who regularly do the 130 reviews, I think that, that's what we've got to show. We've got to show you that weapon, maxed out and at its best, because you know what? That's how the weapon's going to be. So it's totally down to you. But guys, have your say down below. As I said, there's no right or wrong here. Let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to know your take on this. If you're not part of the Litanah Army already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you are one of the troops, don't forget to drop me a like, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.